Good morning, Candace. You're on the air.
Good morning. How are you today?
I'm fine today. How are you?
Oh, not too bad. I'm actually calling in with in regards to yesterday. I had a little bit of an experience with Eastern Health, again, of course, this time with their mental health services. Just to give you a little bit of background on my situation, I've been dealing with a little bit of depression and anxiety for the last number of years. It got a little overwhelming maybe back in the summer. I think it was like late June. And I was seeing a counselor, and she was a little bit concerned for my mental health, so she called the RNC. They showed up to my house, and they brought me in for an assessment, which was fine by me at the Waterford. I have no problem saying that. And when I got there, I was assessed by two young ladies and a psychiatrist. I was discharged. They didn't feel like I was, an immediate threat to myself or anything. But, they had some concerns about my depression and my anxiety and stuff like that. So they advised me that I would be put on a wait list to receive some counseling services from a psychiatrist. They told me that the wait list was quite lengthy, maybe about 8 months to 12 months. So recently I, said, well, it must be getting close on that now. I must call to see exactly where I am on the list. So I called down yesterday and to the Waterford, and they couldn't find my file initially. It took them about 5 hours to locate my file, and then they advised me that I wasn't on a wait list.
You weren't on the wait list at all?
I was not on a wait list at all.
Oh,
no. This was, a big issue for me because before I had even gotten to that point, I had went to my doctor several times telling her I'm really depressed. Some of the thoughts I'm having aren't very healthy. I'd really like to, receive, some counseling from a psychiatrist and, get some help with the issue. And she basically told me over and over again, and I mean, this was for like a year and a half that I was, going to her constantly, begging her for some help. And the options were, basically this is just a stage and it's going to pass, or I can give you this pill. But I didn't want to try pills. I really wanted to see a psychiatrist and, just to talk to someone, before I resorted to pills because, a lot of people know antidepressants don't have a good effect on everybody. Sometimes they have worse effects. So I was really interested in seeing a psychiatrist. She would not do that for me. So, I had called, the Waterford myself, and they have advised me that in order to be put on a wait list, I needed to be assessed. I didn't really want to go to the Waterford, but eventually I didn't really have a choice. So I did end up there. I had my assessment. And then to call yesterday and to find out you're not even on the wait list, and then they tell you, well, in order to be on the wait list, you need to come in for another assessment, and you need to wait another 8 to 12 months to see somebody. I mean, that's just not acceptable. When somebody is in a mental health crisis and they are making a cry out for help, they don't have 8 to 12 months. I mean, when people are ready to speak about it, usually it's because they're at their wits' end. They've had enough. They can't deal with it anymore, and they're genuinely concerned for their health. So the fact that I was brought there by the RNC because somebody else had a concern about my health, and then I was told that I was on a wait list and they didn't feel like I was an immediate threat to myself, that's fine. But to waste 8 or 9 months and then call in and then have them, looking for your file for 5 hours because they have no record of you being there, and then finding it and telling you, oh no, there was no referral to a psychiatrist. I mean, it's just unacceptable. A lot of people say that the suicide rate in Newfoundland is very high because, and Newfoundland and Labrador is very high because people are too afraid to talk about it, and because of the stigmas associated with mental health. But I don't believe that's the 100% the problem here. I think half of the problem is people are going to these places and they're in a mental health crisis and they're desperate for help, and their issues are even either being ignored, swept under the rug, or put on the back burner for months at a time. And I mean, that's just, it's not acceptable. I mean, there's definitely a flaw there somewhere. Like I said, when you're in a mental health crisis and you're willing to talk about it, it's usually because you're at the end of your rope and you really want help. So to put those people who are currently in crisis, on hold for that long, and then to find out that you're not even on a wait list, I mean, it's stressful. It's hard. I mean, I was really upset. I was angry. I just couldn't believe that all this time I'm here, trying to deal with, all this depression and anxiety and thinking that I'm on this wait list and being hopeful that something's going to happen soon, something's going to give soon, and then nothing happens, and you're not even on a wait list. I mean, what a kick in the face, really. I mean, it's like they don't even take you serious.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's a couple of things. So how many people, I wonder, have done, irreparable harm to themselves mentally and potentially physically when this wait time, which should never be, is being suffered? And then how do you end up being told you're on a wait list and you have never been placed on this wait list? Like, how do they justify or explain that facet to you?
I have no idea,
Okay.
and I mean, to be quite honest, when I met with the psychiatrist into the Waterford, there was a major language barrier. Major. I mean, I'm not talking, a small little difference in the way, like, I had no idea what this guy was saying. He was in there for maybe a minute to a minute and a half and then out again. And asked me some very basic questions, which most I had to get him to repeat because I really could not understand him. And when, yesterday they were like, we can't find your file. Do you remember the doctor's name? And I said, honestly, I don't even know if he told me his name. And then they said, well, describe him. And I said, well, he wasn't from here. There was a language barrier. And the lady told me that pretty much describes most of the psychiatrists at that facility. I mean, I just feel so bad for the people out there who are probably even, dealing with worse anxiety and worse depression than I am, and aren't able to get help. And I constantly write up statuses about my struggle, with trying to see someone, and I'm not the only one, and I'm not alone. And then I get so many people reaching out to me with stories of, friends and family and loved ones belonging to them who went through the same thing and couldn't get help. And now they're 6 feet under. So it's just, something has to be done here. I mean, last time I was calling it about the parking. This time it's about, the mental health services in Newfoundland. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be worked on with Eastern Health. And I mean, mental health is a huge issue. And with all the, recent suicides, I mean, in the past year, I've never heard of, maybe it's social media is making it so we're more aware of these things that are happening, and maybe there isn't, maybe there isn't a rise, but it certainly seems like it from what I'm hearing. And I just feel so bad for the people who are reaching out and, saying, hey, I really need help. I'm scared. I'm having these thoughts. I'm having these feelings. I'm in this dark place now. Can you help me? And then people are like, yeah, sure, in a year. But it's like, no, I'm coming to you now because I need help now. I don't need help in a year. I need it right now. I would just be curious to know how many of these people who have committed suicide have tried to get assistance or services from the province and, the province of Salem. I would just be really curious.
Well, I tell you what, it can't be an isolated incident, and it's an extraordinary story. It's all bad enough when you have other types of issues and or pain and you're on a waiting list, and then to be found out that the waiting list that you were once told was 12 months is now another 12 months after a year has lapsed. So I'm really surprised about this story today, and unfortunately, I bet you're not the only one out there who has had to endure this type of scenario. I'm literally shocked, Candace. Anything else you want to say before I take the news?
No, not at all, actually. If I just really wish that somebody would step up and do something about it. I mean, how many more laws need to be passed before something is done? There need to be immediate services for these people. They can't be put on the back burner. You just can't put somebody who's in a mental health crisis on a back burner for 12 months. You just can't do it.
I couldn't agree more. I hope that you don't have to wait as long as they anticipate, and people do have to answer for some of this foolishness. You were told you're on a waiting list just to find out when you follow up on your own accord that you're not. There's something patently wrong with this. I'm really glad you called. Hope all is well. Stay in touch at your convenience.
Okay, thanks so much. Have a great day.
You too, Candace.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow, now that's a wild story. That is a wild story.